Hey you guys, it is me Laura and I am here to update you on our book basket. I thought I would go ahead and start telling you what our favorite books were from the previous unit. I realized I show you what goes in our basket, but I never really update you on what we like, what we don't like, how it goes. And I thought it'd take too long to go back through all the books again. So I just thought I would share with you some of our favorites from each unit when I switch out the books. So we're finishing up Mexico. We are going to be headed to Canada soon. So our favorite books that we had in our book basket, the two top favorites, which I actually don't have right now because they're in my boys' room and they're asleep and I don't want to wake them up, but was the Bear Grylls Desert Adventure. And I just thought it was so neat because as we were studying the desert biome, so many of the things we were studying came up in the book at just the perfect times, and it was really great because it really kind of drove home what we were learning. And the other one was 9 Days to Christmas. I have to admit I was not crazy about that book, but my 5-year-old, soon to be 6-year-old, had me read it to him. I think probably, well, between me and my husband and my mom, I think he had it read to him like 5 or 6, maybe 7 times, and that's not a short book. But I wasn't super crazy about it, but he loved it. My husband tonight read this book to the boys, The Most Beautiful Place in the World, and it's actually about Guatemala. It's not about Mexico, but this is the time to kind of study it because Guatemala is part of North America, and he said that they really enjoyed it. He said he loved this book, which is saying a lot, and the kids really enjoyed it too, so that was a good one. And then Desert Giant. Now, I don't think the kids, they didn't actually pay any attention to this book at all until we watched the Reading Rainbow episode on Amazon Prime that did this, and then they were pulling it out again and again, talking about the pictures and kind of going through what they had learned from Reading Rainbow. And then this is another one that the kids really enjoyed. This is actually about, takes place in America, but it's about some immigrants. The boy's father's an immigrant from Mexico, and he's just from that community. So it talks a little bit about the integration into our culture, and it's just a really sweet story. So those were our favorite from last time. So again, I found that what I did last time worked really well. I picked out about half of the books and put them in the book basket for the first part of the week, and then I put the other half in, and I tried to mix stuff that I thought they'd be really excited about between the weeks, and that seems to be working the best for us so far. So this book is, I have first The Oak Inside the Acorn. We're going to be talking about the life cycle of plants, life cycle of animals, the way plants and animals work together, and all of that kind of stuff. So The Oak Inside the Acorn is a really, really sweet book that my 5-year-old absolutely loves. So I figured any opportunity I can get to throw this one in, I will. This is How Flowers Grow, a beginner book, a Sporn book, which is just really, these books are super great. My kids love them, and I think it's going to go really well with what we're talking about. A Seed is Sleepy. There's all sorts of books in this series. A Seed is Sleepy. A Seed is Clever. It talks about a seed is ancient, inventive, giving all these adjectives to seeds that you might not think. And they also have A Rock is Lively, I think. So I think there's other books in this series too. It all starts with a seed, how food grows, and that's really what this is about. The way that different kinds of food grows and how it all starts with a seed, and it kind of tells the story of them and the step-by-step processes, which would be really fun. And this is one you probably wouldn't read all the way through, but you can have your kids pick pages that they'd really enjoy. This is called Why Do Plants Grow? And this is part of a series put out by Moody. And there's also Why Do Birds Build Nests? And those are the ones for kids ages about 5 through 8. And it's just kind of a gentle start to the reproductive cycle. So it talks about plants growing, the other one talks about birds and building nests, and then they have one for ages 9 and up, What is God's Design for My Body? So this is kind of part of that, and I think that this is a perfect time to introduce this to my kids. And yeah, it's not really graphic or anything like that. So it just kind of talks about a seed and the pollinization of the plant and all of that, kind of setting the ground for talk about human reproduction when the kids are ready. And then this is Real Science for Kids, Level 1 Biology. It talks about a lot of the things that we're talking about. My kids really love to just read these books, so we might pull this out and read some and see what we think. And again, we probably will just pick parts here and there and read that. So I wanted to put that out. Now, as far as our Canada books, we have our stack here. The Incredible Journey, this is what we are going to do for our read aloud. And then at the end, I'm going to rewatch it again to make sure, because my youngest is pretty sensitive, but I think, especially if we've already read it and he knows it's going to be okay, Homeward Bound is a pretty safe movie to watch together, but we'll see. So we might watch this, the Homeward Bound, after we read this, but at any rate, we're definitely going to be reading this for our read aloud. Again, we're replacing this with the missionary stories. Not that I don't like the missionary stories, but I just feel like this is a little bit more age appropriate. I actually think, I'm looking now, sorry, I just remembered that we do have this book, Heroes for Young Readers, on Jonathan Goforth, so we'll probably add this too. He is from Canada, and I think on my husband's family, we're actually related, I'm pretty sure. So that will be kind of fun to talk about too. And so anyway, this will be our big read aloud, and we will add this, and I'll look through again and make sure that there's no other Canadian missionaries that we have that we can talk about. This is From Maple Tree to Syrup. This looks like a book I would have read in school, but it really just talks about where maple syrup comes from. And then this was a book that was highly recommended to me for Canada, Paddle to the Sea. It's a chapter book, but it has lots of stories to it. I mean, lots of stories. Oh, I'm tired. Lots of pictures in it that are just gorgeous, which will help keep the kids engaged. My kids are very visual, so I don't really know much about it though, but we'll check on that one. This is Finding Winnie, the true story of the world's most famous bear, which, yeah, this is a really cool find that I found, and I think that this one, the kids like Winnie the Pooh, and yeah, this is definitely Harry Colburn was from Canada, and I believe he is the one, yes, he was a veterinarian, and he rescued the bear that later inspired all the Winnie the Pooh stories, so that's super cool. This is Half Anna Hibiscus. Anna Hibiscus is one of our favorite series of books, and the boys, we've read through them a few times. This is actually number 4 in the series, which they do read better in order, but because we've read them all, I felt like this would be okay to add. This is when Anna Hibiscus flies from Africa to meet her grandmother in Canada, and she spends some time with her in Canada. So this had to go in our list. This is Ride the Big Machines Across Canada. It is very simple for my children, but it's a good one that they can read by themselves. And I mean, if we can add trucks and trains and any of that at any point, we are going to do that because those are big in my house. This is Canada Goose at Cattail Lane, which also seemed appropriate. My 5-year-old really loves these. And this one I'm putting out more for me than anyone. I don't actually expect any of my kids to pick this one up at this point. It's a little bit hefty, but they can at least enjoy the pictures, which I'm sure that they will go through here and find them all. And maybe next time we go through Exploring Countries and Cultures, we'll pick that one up. So those are the books that we have for our book basket this week. I'm excited to share with you guys more about what's going on in our homeschool as well. We're making some changes for Timothy, which is going to be interesting. Timothy is my 5-year-old, and Samuel is 8, and Exploring Countries and Cultures is really a lot focused on Samuel, and I'm noticing that Timothy is not really as enthusiastic about participating with a lot of the stuff. He does participate with some, but I feel like there's just a lot going on with this, and so I'm kind of putting together a separate program that is fairly light, but kind of that touches on some things that really interest Timothy. And so I think I'm going to have 2 separate book baskets going, and I'm gonna let them kind of pick from each other, but I'm gonna be going through like a community study with Timothy that I think will touch on some of his interests a little bit more than this right now. But I'm still loving it, and I still think he's picking up a whole lot, which is really neat, and Samuel is really loving this program. So I'm gonna try that, and I might share some of that with you guys if you're interested. Excited to visit Canada and see what we learn there. Oh, and I thought I would tell you guys too, as I am going through this, I know that I shared a video on how we use the currency, and so I thought I would share with you anything that I change on there that's specific to the country that we're visiting. And so we are going to Canada, and so I added 2 things to the list of things that they can earn. I traded the chores too, but those aren't necessarily specific to Canada. So what I added was beaver tails is a traditional Canadian dessert. So if they earn and want to purchase that, we will work together to make that, and that would be really yummy. And the other thing I added that was specific to Canada was poutine, because you know what? I hear so much about poutine when it comes to Canada and our friends up to the north. So I thought that might be a fun experience to try together. Obviously, we will be highly adapting those recipes to fit the allergies and all of that in our family, but I think it'd be a lot of fun. So that is pretty much it. We're looking forward to flying to Canada, and we hope that you guys are having a good day. Let me know if you have any questions. Talk to you guys later. Bye.